Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
What is the Grand Experiment and the Sacred Knowledge? Grand Disclosure dates back to the prehistoric age of dinosaurs and how they went extinct to make way for a new species. It's the idea that ancient alien factions have been experimenting and putting different species on Earth for millions of years. Let us give this beautiful planet to a creature with intelligence and free will and see what it does with it. These were the words said to Dolores Cannon, who came up with the quantum healing hypnosis technique. After practicing hypnosis for 45 years, Dolores mastered it. She claims to be able to put patients in a semi-awake state where they can remember a past life. This theta or semi-awake brainwave state can also regress clients into a life-between-life state on the spirit world. They can also see future life or parallel life if the Oversoul allows it. The Oversoul is the source energy of all life, our creator. With its permission, you can speak to passed on loved ones or travel anywhere in the universe. This is where Dolores learned the sacred knowledge, part 2. This is the legend of Mount Shasta and the city of Telos. For decades now, people of Mount Shasta, California have claimed that a highly advanced ancient civilization lives in the mountain known as Lemurians. And this is their story. Around 25,000 years ago, the Atlanteans, who lived in Atlantis, and the Lemurians from Lemuria, broke out into an all-out nuclear war over differing ideologies. See, the Atlanteans wanted to take over lesser civilizations and enslave them. But the Lemurians, who were peace-loving beings of light, said they should be left alone to evolve on their own. The result, the thermonuclear war that ravaged our planet. When the super nuke Nara 1 went off, it caused massive earthquakes on the Richter scale of up to 15. These massive shifts in the Earth's tectonic plates caused supervolcanoes and mega tsunamis that wiped out civilizations and species across the planet. Once the cataclysm started, the fighting stopped. They realized what they had done, but it was too late, part 2. U.S. military engineer with the highest ranking security clearance turns whistleblower claiming they went to war with gray aliens underground. Philip Snyder, a top-ranking military engineer at the time, was working as an explosive expert when he was helping the U.S. government build secret underground military bases in Dulce, New Mexico. And this is his story. It was the summer of 1979 when Snyder began working on the Dulce, New Mexico underground military base. Everything was going along smoothly until Snyder noticed something that began to bother him. He grew suspicious when he noticed a large amount of Green Berets and Special Forces showing up to the base. But as time went on, nothing happened, even though more Green Berets continued to show up. Until one hot summer day in 1979, when they sunk a shaft leading into the next subterranean level where they figured they could build another base. Little did he know that when the dust settled, his life would change forever. When Snyder finally regained his vision, he saw a 7-foot-tall ET. Spec Ops Soldier turns whistleblower, part 3. In November of 1994, Navy pilot and engineer, call him Patriot 2, as he requested to remain anonymous during this interview, had to fly the scientific expedition team to West Antarctica to a place known as Marie Byrd Land. Admiral Byrd named the land after his wife during his first flight over the South Pole. After dropping the team off, Patriot 2 headed back to base. Everything ran smoothly for about 3 to 4 weeks, until one day the scientific team didn't radio in during their designated check-in time. Day 2 and no contact, Patriot 2 was ordered to fly back out to camp and check on them. Upon landing, Patriot 2 sends one of his men to make contact with the team. As he approached the camp, an eerie feeling sent chills up the soldier's spine. He quickly noticed that all their gear was still there, but nobody was in sight, almost like they vanished in thin air. Patriot 1 returned home knowing he did all he could. Then a week later, just as all hope was almost lost, they get a radio call from the team. This is the legend of Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam was written in 1994 by French-speaking Canadian Sergei Monast. Monast was one of the most well-known conspirators of his time. His followers believe Mel Gibson's role in 1997 movie Conspiracy Theory was a depiction of him. His most popular work with the USA is Project Bluebeam. In this text, he claims that NASA, with the help of the United Nations, is going to implement a New Age religion. With the Antichrist at its helm, they're going to force a New World Order. And they're going to do this by using thousands of satellites they put into orbit that will cast holograms, making us think alien invasion is coming. Like the ones you see behind me. They're going to warm us up slowly by creating holograms in the sky of UFOs and other anomalies. Here are more examples. Eventually, depicting the second coming of Christ. They'll convince people Christ has returned, but it'll be a false prophet. In 95, he lost his kids to the state. 96, he died of a heart attack after a night in jail. The legend of Lake Vostok. 1998, Russian and U.S. teams pulled a 2-mile-long core out of the surface of Antarctica. 14 years later, after almost 30 years working on a project, they cracked into the cavern of Lake Vostok. Many studies had showed that the O2 content around Lake Vostok was 20 times that of anywhere on the Earth's surface. The oxygen content, along with the lake being a time capsule for the last 15 million years, provided perfect conditions for it to be teeming with new life. As the expedition team neared the cavern, they knew something was wrong when within 50 feet, all comms shut off. With radio silent, they got to the lake's ice shores and an eerie feeling crept over them. But regardless of any feelings they had, they pressed on with the mission. They dove in the lake and quickly began taking samples. Frantically, their colleagues at the surface tried to reach them to no avail, unaware that the team was already fighting for their lives. As one of the Russian scientists was collecting samples, he saw another team member swimming up to him and began swimming towards him. A fear crept over him, but it was too late. They called it specimen 46B, and his colleagues had to watch as 46B tore him limb from limb, consuming every piece. History of the Anunnaki, Atlanteans, and Lemurians. When the Anunnaki first got here, they landed in the ocean, but established a place called Eridu on land. Eridu translates to home far away. That leads me to believe they established their base in Antarctica, pre-Ice Age. Here's Africa, here's Antarctica. Check out the pictures of this recently discovered map of Antarctica with no ice. After establishing their base in Antarctica, the Anunnaki started their gold mines in South Africa. When the gold mines were finally up and running, they built a base on Mars to establish a midway point between Earth and Nibiru. Initially, the Anunnaki were using an ancient alien race known as the Agigi for their labor force. Translated ancient Sumerian text actually shows that the Agigi were believed to be the good gods and the Anunnaki the evil gods. Here, Sumerians portrayed the Agigi as a more human-like hybrid. As you can see here, the Anunnaki are depicted holding the bag. Stay tuned, gonna be good. This is the legend of the Philadelphia experiment. The U.S. government's attempt during World War II to make an entire ship disappear. Theorists say that disturbing things happened to the sailors on board. According to witnesses, on October 28, 1943, the USS Eldridge, a Cannon-class destroyer, was being used for top-secret experiments that could change the tides of the war. The rumor was the U.S. government had come up with a cloaking technology that could render any ship invisible to radar. And in the Philadelphia shipyard that day, it was time to test it out. Witnesses say as the Eldridge powered up, an eerie green energy field surrounded the ship, and then it disappeared. The ship was then spotted in a Virginia shipyard and then teleported back to Philadelphia. Some went insane, and some got a mysterious illness. But worst of all, some of the sailors were said to have gotten fused to the ship. Many of them still alive as they were cutting them free. For more on the story, check part 2. Recently, a team of scientists at MIT revealed the first artificial intelligence to have gone rogue. The AI, known as Norman the Psychopath, has began making thoughts and ideals of his own. They ran this experiment to outline what AI could potentially become, and the results were disturbing. Let's go over what the experiment consisted of. The scientists wrote an algorithm for the AI that promoted learning. In the beginning, they fed Norman the Psychopath nothing but disturbing images of murders and death, while they presented 2 other forms of AI with nothing but pleasant images. After this, they presented the robots with inkblot images and were asked what they saw. The first robot said she saw a vase with flowers in it. The next robot said she saw a bird. Norman the Psychopath said he saw a man being shot. And when presented with another image, Norman saw a man being put through a dough press. As we move forward, we better tread lightly and listen to him. The Mayan civilization and what I believe happened to them. Recently, they used new sound wave technology to fly over the ancient Mayan ruins. And when they got the results, they were amazed. They found that the ancient Mayan ruins were actually much larger than they thought. They had up to 60,000 homes in just the city alone. So they figure instead of 2 million, the population was up to 20 million. The real question is, what happened to them? They just vanished without a trace. No signs of any warring tribes, no signs of any burial sites. So where did 20 million people go? My theory is that these people finally figured out how to live in peace. That an ancient alien faction actually seen them succeed in life and love and took them under their wing. They either took them to outer space, or I have a theory that they actually went to Middle Earth through a Stargate. The same thing can be said for ruins all over the world. They just disappeared. These are the homes of the Anasazi. A team of archaeologists recently discovered an ancient Babylonian seal that seems to depict an atomic bomb going off. Skeptics would disagree, saying that ancient theorists take things too literally. But the next generation of archaeologists would argue we've been looking at our ancient history all wrong. And that actually at one time, we were a much more advanced race than we ever believed. They would go on to say that architectural marvels like the pyramids only further back this theory. So is this seal actually trying to warn us? Are they trying to tell us that we had already ended our civilization once with nuclear war? After looking into this, I actually found substantial evidence that says yes. Instances like Libyan desert glass and nuclear radiation in Antarctica. And if you really want to dig deep, look up ancient Sumerian tablets. Sumerians were believed to be slaves of the Anunnaki. 2. The conspiracy theorist who predicted his own death, 9/11, and the New World Order. Milton William Cooper, also known as Bill Cooper, was born in 1943 in California. After high school, Cooper went to the military, where he joined the Navy and fight in Vietnam. It was at this time when he saw top secret documents while working for a briefing team under Admiral Bernard A. Cleary. He was the Admiral of Navy's Pacific Fleet. Cooper had seen top secret documents that proved collusion between the United States and aliens. He claims that we wanted to work with aliens to create a new world order. He also claimed to see other top secret files that explained that Kennedy's driver was actually the one that shot him. And apparently he did this using a gas pressure device developed by the aliens. After Vietnam, Cooper attempted to reach the media and inform the public. But on his way to meet the reporter, he was hit by a black limousine. Leg amputated too. If you're Rh negative blood type, what does that mean? And why is only 15% of the world's population Rh negative? Do Rh negative people actually have a resistance to the coronavirus? Stay tuned to find out. The Rh stands for rhesus factor because it was discovered in the 1940s that the rhesus monkey had the same protein attached to their red blood cells as most humans do. This Rh factor has been used to help back the theory of evolution for years, but only 85% of the population is Rh positive. The other 15% is Rh negative, and they can't be traced back to a lineage of apes. You can see here the highest concentrations are in Europe and America. Whether they manipulated us in a lab or actually did it by interbreeding, it is not known. But why is it that they tend to have light eyes and light skin? Why is it that, yes, on average they are more resistant to the COVID virus? Check part 2 for theories. An underwater Area 51 that's built on the edge of the Bermuda Triangle and on top of Atlantis? You heard it here first at Night God 333. Navy Military Base AUTEC, the Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center. AUTEC is a laboratory that performs integrated three-dimensional hydrospace measurements for underwater warfare. It's located just off Andros Island in the Bahamas. But it is believed there's much more to this military base than meets the eye, with ex-employees and witnesses stating they've seen things in the water that are unexplainable. This could explain all the weird happenings in the Bermuda Triangle. It is said that AUTEC was built on one of the many ruins of Atlantis scattered throughout the world due to the cataclysms, and that if you build on any portion of what was Atlantis, you can travel through different dimensions. Yes, you heard me right. There's a military base practicing interdimensional travel as we speak. For more, check the next part. Russian genius child says the Egyptian Sphinx holds the key that will change life on Earth. The boy genius has baffled scientists for 20 years. Boris Kiprianovich claims he was a Martian in a previous life and that the key is located behind the right ear of the Sphinx. Growing up, it didn't take long for parents and teachers to realize Boris was special. He could read and write by 2 years old and had a photographic memory. He also talked often about the solar system, which nobody had ever taught him. When a young student, Boris claimed he flew to ancient Egypt as a Martian pilot. He said that Martians and ancient Egyptians had a strong relationship when Egyptians were the pinnacle of mankind. When unlocked, he says we will have access to a life-changing technology. As a Martian, Boris said he was 7 meters tall or 21 feet, breathed CO2, and that nuclear war is what caused the death of Mars. Many died, but some of them made it underground where they still live today. Signs that you have been marked by gray aliens. Gray aliens tend to be malevolent beings. They like to harass you, and a lot of times you'll think your house is haunted, but it's not. They don't always do this, but a lot of times they will. They'll mark you by using utensils in the house to make a reflection on the ceiling. You'll often find things out of place or even feel like somebody's watching you. There will be a lot more birds than usual around your house. They may even flock in the thousands. This is due to their magnetic presence. They usually won't show their cards, But the reason they're there is because they want somebody in your house. If you try to put up cameras, they'll blot them out. You'll never catch them on film. They will make you think you're going crazy. And the whole time, they're getting a kick out of it. If you get sick, check behind your ear. If you have a red mark, it's an implant. Best advice I could give, seek an expert. Or move. They do fear guns as well. Educate yourself.
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
I read one the other day that said that 36% of all U.S. presidents have made contact with aliens at least once, starting with George Washington. And that every U.S. president since Grover Cleveland has met with them in a city called Telos in Mount Shasta, California. And this ancient city is actually connected to Middle Earth. And the reason they went to Middle Earth was because two ancient alien factions got in a nuclear war. And the reason they went to war was because one of them wanted to enslave us to mine gold. This nuclear war actually resulted in the death of Mars and almost resulted in the death of our planet. But instead, it caused Noah's flood. The aliens that didn't want to leave Earth went down to Middle Earth, where they reside to this day, but they're waiting for us to reach 5D so they can invite us into their world.
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
All right, check it out. In 2007, a US DIA employee turned whistleblower. He felt the people should know about Project Serpo. Project Serpo was an agreement between us and the aliens that crashed at Roswell. When the aliens crashed in 1947, one of them lived and 3 of them died. The one that lived was never able to fix the craft's communication system before he passed away in '52. But in December of the same year, we fixed it and we were able to contact his home planet. Communication transpired over the next 10 years, and they were able to talk about an exchange program. We were going to exchange 12 of our inhabitants for 12 of theirs, and they were going to live on each planet for 10 years. So we trained 12 astronauts, 10 men and 2 women. The training was rigorous, and it was ideal if they didn't have any ties to Earth, due to the fact they were going to be on alien planet Serpo, 40 light years away. The exchange was supposed to happen in 1964, but instead they took the remains of their dead back. They came back in '65, and the exchange took place. 3 conspiracies about the European laboratory known as CERN that will blow your mind. What is CERN? CERN is a massive particle physics laboratory located in Geneva. They're trying to create the God particle, or the particles that make up the universe, by slamming subatomic particles into each other at the speed of light. In 2016, CERN was finally able to use a laser and create atoms of antimatter out of hydrogen. This has Christians in an uproar, saying that what they're trying to do is actually create a portal to hell. Conspiracy number 1. Why would they think such a thing? Because CERN has openly admitted they're trying to create and sustain these particles. Antimatter is subatomic particles with the reverse charge of normal subatomic particles. This negatively charged substance could be used to open up the gates to hell. And that the Goddard Tunnel is going to be the gateway they use. This is the first railway through the Swiss Alps. Due to the opening ceremony being very demonic and the main character being the Goatman, who is the Celtic god of witchcraft in the wild, Cernonas. The beginning of his name being C-E-R-N. Evil rituals at CERN next.